Hi, good morning guys. This is our final class, MA085 final test review. So let's review some problems you're going to encounter when you take your final test. So let's start with number 1. So we have 7 plus 6, 27 minus 4 times 4. So again, what you should do, how you should do things is GERMDAS. So which one should you do first? Well, you're going to do your G. So you're going to do the inside of a grouping symbol, in this case a parentheses. So we're going to do 27 minus 4 times 4. But inside of the parentheses, there's multiple operations. So which one you should do? Again, you're going to look at the GERMDAS, and in this case, we're going to do multiplication. So we're going to multiply negative 4 times 4, and that should give you guys 7 plus 6 times parentheses 27 minus 16. Negative 4 times 4 is 16 and negative 16, so we just write it there. Now we're going to do 27 minus 6, which should give you guys 11. So it's going to be 7 plus 6. And what's the operation between 6 and 11? Multiplication. Why is that? Well, we're just going to copy the parentheses. That's why. So it's going to be 7 plus 6 times 11, which is our new equation, our new expression. Now what do we do? Well, we're going to do our 6 times 11, which is 66. So it's going to be 7 plus 66. And what is 7 plus 66? It's going to be 73. So that's how you do number 1. So again, this is a review, so the numbers will be different when you take your test, but how you do it, especially when the operation is basically the same, is going to be a plus, minus, multiplication, and then there's a parentheses. Pretty much the steps are the same. As long as they follow, essentially, as long as they follow this, you're going to get your number 1 correct. Now let's move on. We have, this is division. And this is a plus. So we have 7 plus 16 divided by 4 times 5. Again, what you should do is write down the GERMDAS so you know what you're going to do. And then what are we going to do? Well, there's no grouping symbols, and there's no exponents nor square roots, so we're just going to focus on this too: multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So which one should we do first? Are we going to do 7 plus 16? Or are we going to do 16 divided by 4? Or is it finally going to be 4 times 1? So you should, if you do it correctly, it's going to be 16 divided by 4. Why is that? Well, why is that? Division first if multiplication and division comes, if multiplication comes after, before division. Well, there's a relationship between multiplication and division, and that the order matters when you're doing multiplication division. The order is pretty much whatever goes first. What's the leftmost operation? That's what you do first. In this case, the leftmost operation is division. So what you do is you're going to do your division first before you do your multiplication. So now it's going to be 7 plus 4 times 5. So now, what do we do? Are we going to do addition or multiplication? We're going to do multiplication. So it's going to be 7 plus 4 times 5. We do 4 times 5. In this case, it's going to be 7 plus 20, which is basically 27. Now we have number 3. We have mixed numbers. So again, there's two. I'll show when we're dealing with mixed numbers and when we're dealing with mixed numbers. Essentially, what do we want to do? We want to change this to improper fraction. So let me write that. Change improper. So now we're going to change 9 and 1/2 to, it's still under, the denominator is still 2, but our new numerator is what? 2 times 9 plus 1 is 19. So it's going to be 19 over 2 plus, what is 6/4 into improper is going to be, still have a denominator of 5, but now our numerator is 5 times 6 is 30 plus 4 is 34. So it's going to be 34. Now what do we do? Well, if you didn't attend the previous classes, you probably do some adding already. So what you probably do is you add the denominator, and then you're going to add 19 plus 34, which will give you guys 53. Is that the correct way to do this? What's the correct way to do this then, if you say no? Well, first thing first, you need to have a common denominator. So find LCD. In this case, LCD is 2. I mean, not 2. What is it? B 10. So what we're essentially doing is we're going to change both the denominators to 10. So this 2 becomes 10 and 5 becomes 10. How does 2, what number do we multiply to 2 to change to 10? We multiply this side, we multiply 2 by 5. So multiply that by 5. And then since we're multiplying the bottom part, our denominator, by 5, we should also multiply the top, our numerator, by 5. And what is 19 times 5? It's going to give you guys 95. Now we have our new fraction. Operations just remain the same. Addition, addition. Now let's move on to the next fraction, 34 over 5. What number do we multiply to both the top and the bottom to change? What number do we multiply to 5 to change it to 10? 2. So we also multiply the top by 2. And what is 34 times 2? It's going to give you guys 68. And then just add 95 plus 68. Oh, before we do it, before we start adding, what do? Well, we're going to put that into one fraction. So it's going to be 95 plus 68 over 20 over 10 plus 10. No, it's going to be over 10. Now we're just going to add 95 plus 68 should give you guys 163. And then you copy the denominator. Again, notice the denominator never changes because that's how you add. You only add fractions when they have common denominator, when they share a denominator, 10 and 10. So that means if you add 2 and 5, you're going to do it wrong. You have to change that so that they matches, and then you can add. Now, the question is asking mixed number, so change this 163 over 10 to mixed number. How do we change fractions to mixed number? Divide. So let me change. Let me have a different color. So it's going to be 163 divided by 10. Divide the numbers. You're going to get 1. You get 10. You get 6. Bring down 3. You get 6 over the top. 6 times 10 is 60. You get 3. Now we're going to interpret the things we have right now. Again, we're dealing with fractions, so we're not going to put any decimals. So you should not do any decimals since we're dealing with fractions. What is 16? 16 is our whole number. Our 10 will always be our denominator. So what do we do with 3? Well, we put it on the missing spot, which is our numerator. So our remainder is our numerator. Our 10 is still 10. Our denominator is still 10. And the answer we get is our whole number. So basically, that's how you do number 3. Again, the numbers will change, but the operation will still be plus. And what you do is basically the same thing. Change into improper, find LCD, add, and then divide. Add, then change the improper back to mixed number. Now, we have something a bit different. We have mixed numbers still, but we have division. So just in case you don't know, this is division. And what do you do? Well, again, always change to improper. Let me write that. Change to improper. So this will become 40 still on the bottom. 40 times 1, 40 plus 9 is 49. So our new numerator is 49, and the denominator is still 40. Still division. Now change 1 and 2/5 to our new fraction, new improper fraction. It's going to be 5 on the bottom. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So we now have a new expression. So what do we do? Well, we're going to, let me have a red pen, keep, switch, flip. So what do we do? We're going to keep 49 over 40 as is. We're going to flip the sign to multiplication, and we're going to switch up 7 over 5 to 5 over 7. We're going to flip it up. Now what do we do? Well, we can put it into one fraction, 49 times 5 on the top and 40 times 7 on the bottom. Is that all we can do? We can also start simplifying. 5 and 40 shares the common factor of 5, so 5 becomes 1. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Is there anything else? Yes, it's, let's have a different color. 49 and 7 share a common factor of 7. 7 becomes 1, and 49 becomes 7. Is there anything else? Nope. So we just multiply across. 7 times 1 is 7, and 8 times 1 is 8. So if you simplify it beforehand, you don't need to reduce it anymore. You're just going to have your answer already reduced. So it's good to reduce it while it's in this format, so you can see. So it's way better. It's easier to simplify. Now our last question for this part video is we're going to have a mix. We have 5 and 3, 10 divided by 0.2. Now you have two options. In this case, we'll do option 1. The fraction way. So what do I mean by fraction way? Well, let's rewrite this as 5 and 3 over 10. And what is a fraction bar mean in operation? A fraction bar means divide. So what we're doing is actually dividing 5, 3, 10 by 0.2. Now what do you do? Well, you can change this. Since we're doing fraction, change everything to something, change it to fraction basically. In this case, change any mixed number to improper, and you're going to get 10 on the bottom. 10 times 5 plus 3 is 53. Division stays the same. And 0.2 in fraction is 2 over, how many zero is the bottom part? 1. So it's going to be 1 0 here. So it's going to be 2 10. Now you do it, what do you do? Well, we did it beforehand. We're going to do some keep switch flip. And you're going to keep 53 over 10 as is, switch division to multiplication, and flip 2 over 10 to 10 over 2. Now rewrite this in one expression. It's going to be 53 times 10 on the top, and this is 10 times 2 on the bottom. Note that, I'll talk about that later. Let's do this first. Now cross out common factors. 10 is the common factor of 10, so both becomes 1. Is there anything else? Is there a common factor between 53 and 2? Nope. So we're just going to just multiply across. It's going to give us 53 over 2. And that's it. You don't need to change this one to improper because I don't like improper. I don't like mixed number. So you can just leave it as improper. The only time we're going to change things to mixed number is when the question specifies you to change it. Otherwise, just change it to fraction and keep it keep it in lowest terms. So what do I want us to talk about? Well, here when we're multiplying, we don't need to match the denominator, okay? But when we're adding or subtracting, we have to match it. That's just in case you got confused and you want some refresher. When we're adding or subtracting fraction, we are only able to add when we have the same denominator. So we have to change the denominators to match so we can add or subtract. Here, when we're multiplying, we don't need to do it. We don't need to change both denominators to match. We can simply multiply across. But before we do that, we can also simplify things first. So now we'll do option 2. Option 2 is when you're pretty good in decimals. So there's two ways to tackle this. If you're pretty good at decimals, go for the option 2. If you're pretty good at fraction, do the fraction. Make things easier for you. So now we have, let's try first thing first. Let's make it look nice. We have 5 and 3/10 divided by 0.2. So first thing first, we need to change 5 3/10 to a decimal. Since we want a decimal, we need to change anything to decimal. Change things that's not decimal to decimal. So how do you change 5 and 3/10 to decimal? Well, you should know that 5, wherever it goes, whether it's in fraction, in mixed number to decimal, 5 is still going to be 5, so it's just going to be a whole number. And 3/10 is the one that will give us our decimal. So how do we change that? Well, we're going to divide. We're going to divide 3 by 10. Can 10 goes to 3? No, so we had to borrow 0. So it's going to be 0 here. And since we're having a decimal, don't forget to put a decimal on the top. How many 10 goes to 30? 3. So 10 times 3 is 30. And we're just going to get 0. And that's basically it. So our decimal is 5.3. So that's our new number, 5.3 divided by 0.2. Now divide. Let's make it. We're going to divide it long way, or you can use calculator. I don't really care for this test. So 5.3 on the top. Is 5.3 the one inside or the one outside? The one inside. So it's going to be 5.3 divided by 0.2. Now what do we do? Can we divide it already? No, we can't. So we have to move the decimal to make 0.2 into a whole number, 2. And since we're moving the decimal outside, we should also move it inside the same way. So 5.3 becomes 53. And now what we're basically doing is (53) divided by 2. Now how many 2's goes to 5? 2. So that becomes 4. Subtract, you're going to get 1. Bring down 3. How many 2's goes to 3? 13. 6. So that will give you guys 12. 1. And then is that all? Do we put in fraction? No, we can't. Again, we're doing decimals, so stick with decimals. Now, so what do? We're going to borrow zeros. And since we're borrowing it by having decimals, don't forget to match the decimal at the top. Bring down the 0. How many 2's go to 10? 5. So we get 10 and we get 0. So our answer is 26.5 or 53 divided by 2. Either way is basically, your answer is basically the same thing. Whether you do it on decimal or you do it in fraction, you should have the same answer. So you can do this to check your work for number 5. But you're basically going to do the same thing, and then you're going to either choose the fraction way or the decimal way, and the question will look like this. Different numbers though. Same goes with 4. Same goes with basically all the questions I just talked over. And that's it. See you in the next part.